Coming up in our noon show, the Murdoch trial has come to an end. The sentencing he now faces for the murder of his wife and son.
Plus, an 11-year-old now in the hospital after being shot. What police said led to the shooting.
And the severe weather has moved out. The winds are dying down, and we've got a great weekend on the way. Your forecast straight ahead.
Live from KSAT12, the news at noon starts right now.
An 11-year-old boy is in the hospital after San Antonio police say he accidentally shot himself in the head.
Garrett Berger is live at the terrace at Haven for Hope, where it happened at the apartments. Garrett, what is the boy's condition right now? All right, well, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties trying to get to Garrett right now, so we're going to move on. But
yeah, definitely. We are learning. The police chief said he had not had any information right now, but we are going to be getting more information from Garrett as he becomes available to us.
All right. Well, the city of San Antonio is getting a bit more green. VIA is now testing new electric buses. It plans to add 8 electric vehicles to its fleet this year. Today, VIA started training staff and operators ahead of the rollout. The buses will be the latest addition to VIA's sustainable fleet, which already includes 500 vehicles fueled by natural gas. And this isn't VIA's first dive into e-vehicles. Back in 2011, the federal government gave VIA some electric buses to test out, but they never officially were part of the fleet.
I always refer to those, that's V1.01. So it was extremely prototypical. It had a range of maybe 30 miles. This is going to be the first time, because the technology has improved, that we are able to actually place the bus into standard service.
And the new buses can run for about 150 miles on a full charge. They'll feature dimmable LED lights and USB charging ports at every seat. Rollout is expected to begin during the second half of this year.
And the Bexar County Courthouse is now more accessible for those who may need more help getting around. Today, local leaders unveiled recent improvements. They include a dedicated drop-off zone on Dwyer Street and a designated pickup zone on Nueva Street. Crews also added signs near the courthouse entrance to get drivers' attention and make it safer for pedestrians. The hope is that the changes will especially help those with mobility issues.
We have the largest population of individuals with over 65 and as well as individuals with disabilities over the age of 18 per capita in the entire state. So this is long overdue. They often visit the probate court, and what I would see is they were exhausted, they were tired, it was hard, it was difficult for their family members to push the wheelchairs. There was just a problem for them getting here and for it being accessible at the older courthouse.
The changes come as district courts get ready to resume in-person jury pools. That, paired with a decrease in COVID-19 positivity rates, mean there will be more in-person activities at courthouses.
All right, so we have figured out the kinks with Garrett's live shot. Garrett is live at the terrace at Haven for Hope, where an 11-year-old, we understand, has been shot. Garrett?
Absolutely, and the fire department says that he was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, but he was communicating and breathing at that point. But we don't know what has happened since then. Here's what we know that led up to it. Now, the police chief said the boy had been with several friends this morning, his parents also in the home. Now, the chief said that from the preliminary information he had, the boy had found a handgun tucked away in a drawer. The boy thought it was unloaded and played with it, inadvertently shooting himself.
I believe that the dad thought the gun was secured or secluded at least, and didn't realize that the little boy had it, obviously, and I guess didn't realize he would get it, but could get it, but he did, and that's where we are right now.
The chief said police would be talking with the other children and see if they had anything different to say about what had happened. Police also plan to talk with the adults. Now, the scene is pretty much cleared out here at the apartments. Now, while Haven for Hope is in the name, it is not part of the homeless shelter's day-to-day operations. But we just saw police clear out of here a little bit earlier. Security's kind of been around the side, just making sure we're keeping back. But otherwise, there hasn't been a lot of activity since, unfortunately, that shooting this morning. Live near downtown, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT12 News.
All right, thanks, Garrett. Well, news of a West Side woman's death is hitting hard among her neighbors. San Antonio firefighters found her body inside her burning home overnight.
That's right. It's in the 8900 block of Mansfield near Potranco Road. Katrina Weber tells us what fire crews say got in the way of rescuing her.
The hard work is over, but the difficult times continue for these fire crews. They lost the battle against flames and smoke in the 8900 block of Mansfield, a fire that not only damaged this home, but caused the death of a woman who lived here.
It's my next door neighbor. It's my mom's age. So this could happen to anyone.
Jasmine Warren was heartbroken to hear the news. She somehow slept through it all.
I didn't hear anything. I mean, seriously, I didn't hear anything.
Someone heard and saw it and called firefighters around 2 this morning. They found thick smoke coming out of the back of the house and hit a roadblock inside it. Firefighters say just getting inside that house was one of their biggest challenges. They say there were a lot of items in their way, which made it tough for them to put water on the fire. Once they got in, they say they found the woman partially buried beneath one of the piles. They believe the fire had been smoldering for some time. Jasmine Warren, meanwhile, is wishing she'd had more time to get to know her neighbor.
We were trying to, help her out, or we did approach her.
But she says just like the fire crews, she couldn't seem to get through. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Happening right now, Governor Abbott is in San Antonio. He is at the Economic Development Luncheon being hosted by the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce. Now, he is expected to start speaking at any moment. You can watch his speech live on our website, KSAT12.
Fourth generation, now former attorney Alec Murdoch quickly found guilty of murdering his wife and youngest son.
The closely watched trial documenting the unraveling of a once powerful lawyer with tales of alleged fraud, addiction, and greed. ABC's M. Nguyen is outside the courthouse in Walterboro.
The once powerful former attorney in South Carolina's Lowcountry, Alec Murdoch, now a convicted killer.
I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife Maggie, and I would never hurt my son Pawpaw.
Today, Judge Clifton Newman sentencing the 54-year-old for the murders of his wife Maggie and youngest son Paul.
Murder of your wife Maggie Murdoch, I sentence you for a term of the rest of your natural life. For the murder of Paul Murdoch, I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life.
After 6 weeks and 75 witnesses, the jury took less than 3 hours to come back with a guilty verdict.
Guilty, guilty, guilty.
Murdoch appearing emotionless as he was convicted of all 4 counts, including possessing a weapon during a violent crime. His eldest son, Buster, putting his head in his hands.
We will have a just result for Maggie and Paul. Who, again, we cannot forget in all of this case as long as it's going on.
One of the 12 jurors, Craig Moyer, revealing to ABC News the discussion in the room.
Everybody was pretty much talking, and I don't know, about 45 minutes later, after all our deliberating, we figured it out.
Moyer saying he was convinced by the video extracted from Paul's phone at the dog kennels, which investigators say was taken minutes before they were shot. Witnesses saying that was Alec Murdoch's voice, and after denying being there for months, Murdoch admitted on the stand he was there.
There are other mysterious deaths linked to the Murdoch family. In one of them, the state says of the housekeeper in 2018, that investigation has been reopened. M. Nguyen, ABC News, Walterboro.
All right, up next, an unbelievable scene at the Alamo Dome last night during last night's storm. Hell coming through the roof. We'll explain more about that coming up in a few minutes.
But first, after the break, why passport wait times are longer than usual and how far in advance you should get yours before you travel abroad.
All right, now to a travel alert. Well, spring break season is here and airlines are expecting the busiest spring travel season ever.
That's right. And if you're going abroad, you better have your passport all ready. ABC's Gio Benitez tells us wait times and how they're getting up.
Spring break and summer travel approaches, a warning for travelers going overseas. With international travel ramping up, the State Department says it's seeing unprecedented demand for passports, and it's causing some massive delays. Maddie Belfiore ordered her passport weeks ago, but did not get it in time for her trip.
I hadn't been on vacation in a very, very long time. I was a caregiver for my mom, and I wouldn't leave her. So when she passed away, I finally decided I have to get away. I didn't think it was going to be a problem. Go to the post office, fill out the application. She hands me the paper. It says 3 to 5 weeks expedited. I paid extra. Then in checking on the passport website, it became 5 to 7 weeks.
She had to cancel everything.
They don't have enough people working at the passport office. They don't have any extra phone numbers where you could call and try to get information, and they have no emails. I had to cancel the flight, the hotel, everything had to be canceled.
So how do you time it out? Well, it usually takes 8 to 11 weeks to get a new passport. But if you pay $60, you can expedite yours. But remember, that may only save you a few weeks.
So definitely apply as soon as possible. Don't go too close to the date of your trip and give yourself undue stress.
And remember, those processing times don't start until the State Department actually receives your application, not when you send it. Now, if you have urgent travel that's within 14 days, you can make an appointment at a State Department passport office and get your document processed. But even if your passport is valid, you should still check that expiration date.
Look at your passport and see when it expires. Many countries won't let you in unless you have 6 months or more valid. And the next thing is, even if your passport is valid, make sure you have enough open pages. If it's a full passport, some countries require entire open pages.
And we should tell you, the State Department tells us that it has increased staffing and is working to hire some more employees to keep up with all of this demand. Gio Benitez, ABC News, New York.
Well, the weather outside, it feels kind of like fallish. It's like there's a crispiness to the air. The sun is out.
It's 73 degrees out. We're going to be checking in with Justin to see how the rest of the day is going to hold up and the rest of the week.
Yeah, I said earlier that I think a lot of people are taking the day off. It's one of those kind of days on a Friday. Blue skies. It is so nice out there. We had the severe weather, of course, last night, but now blue skies, dry air has moved in. It's going to be a great weekend. The aquifer, it is actually up today. It went up, which is great to see. And in your pollen count, well, we don't have a pollen count today, but we'll get you one coming up tomorrow. Likely tree pollen still up there. We've got to look at your weekend forecast right after the break.
All right, well, hail ripped through the Alamo Dome last night. This morning, crews are busy looking at the roof and making repairs. This happened during a 5A girls basketball state semifinal game. This is a game between Wagner and Frisco Liberty. We're told the game was stopped early in the fourth quarter after the hail started falling in, and they were able to continue after crews cleaned it up and dried up the area.
That's right. What a week for weather, Justin. Those winds came in strong last night. Could we expect any more of that today or later on tonight?
No, we're done with the winds. And by the way, that video is incredible. And a lot of people are asking, are there holes in the roof of the Alamo Dome? What's going on? And I think part of that was a wind-driven hail. Some of it probably came through the vents or something like that. It's kind of a weird situation. But when you have wind and hail together, strange things can happen. So they'll be looking at that. But it was busy last night. We know that with the hail. And then we got rain. And on top of that, we had dust coming in because we had some strong winds. My car looks like this. Does your car look like that? Yeah. The car washes are going to be busy today. Expect some lines there because it was almost like a mud rain at one point. And a lot of the cars are not looking so nice. Thank you for sending that picture in, by the way, in KSAT Connect. And we got a ton of pictures in showing the situation last night as those storms moved through. Let's look at some of the severe weather reports. There's a cluster right around San Antonio as we had a severe storm pushed through right through downtown. We had some quarter-size hail, which thankfully that's right at about the threshold where if it was any larger, we'd probably have quite a bit of damage. But thankfully, it stayed just below that. So only minor damage. More of the damage came with these strong winds. Some trees toppled. And as we look at the big picture here, there were 125 reports of severe weather yesterday, stretching from San Antonio all the way up to northeast Texas and Oklahoma. Thankfully, no injuries reported. There was a lot of tree and power line damage, and there were 6 tornado reports. That was in the far northeastern part of Texas, Sulphur Springs over to Texarkana, and not a lot of reports of damage there either. So really, I think we came away kind of unscathed, which is the way we like it. The severe threat pushes east today, so parts of Kentucky and Tennessee will be under the gun as this storm system moves off to the north and east. And look at the tornado watch boxes. Already several of them in place as this low spins off to the north and east and creates more weather across the northeastern half of the country. This is what we have in its wake, and man, is that a nice shot there. Blue skies, 71. Dew point is at 25. That number is way down with a northwesterly breeze. Still strong at 18 miles per hour, still gusty a little bit higher than that, but so much better than it was last night. And these winds will continue to relax and calm as we go into this evening. 65 right now in Kerrville, 74 in Hondo, 74 in Pleasanton, 69 in Gonzales, and right around 70 degrees here in Bexar County. Doesn't get much better than that. Temperatures will eventually work their way up into the upper 70s later this afternoon. There's a look at some of the wind gusts. We're still gusting close to 30, over in Rio Medina. But as I said, these winds should be on their way down. Here's a look at the wind gust forecast. And really, we'll see much, much calmer winds by this evening, which sets the stage for some pretty chilly temperatures by tomorrow morning. 76 at 3 o'clock, 77s are high. And then by 7 o'clock, if you have plans to be out and about this evening, still nice, 72. But once the sun sets, temperatures will fall off. 59 at 11 o'clock, 55 midnight, and by tomorrow morning, we're in the 40s. 47 to start your Saturday here in town, and 40s basically widespread around the area. You may want a jacket early tomorrow, but you won't need it during the afternoon because we'll warm right back up into the 80s. So as I mentioned, this storm system, which we can see very nicely here on water vapor, spreading northeast. We've got dry air behind it, and we'll get a couple dry days. So the humidity will be very low today and tomorrow. By Sunday, it starts to increase a little bit, and then by next week, we feel it. With dew points in the 60s, it gets a little more muggy. So here's a look at the 7-day forecast. We'll go 81 tomorrow, 82 on Sunday. A little bit of morning fog. Shouldn't last too long Sunday, but more fog and clouds during the morning time Monday and Tuesday. It's not until midweek next week we get another front and maybe some rain chances. Until then, feels a lot like spring, guys.
I'll take all of that, but you can keep the humidity, okay?
Fair enough.
That's right. I agree with Patty. Keep the humidity. Coming up after the break, we are taking a look at our KSAT kids, what one group is doing to help spread their love of tennis to their community. Tennis is a lifelong sport that can nurture friendships and a hard work ethic, but it can also be expensive.
Yeah, really expensive. That's why a group of Alamo Heights high school students put on a free clinic twice a month for kids. Sarah Costa spoke with the tennis players about why they want to pass on their love for tennis to others.
Annabelle, Adriana, Peyton, and Naomi are all part of the Alamo Heights high school tennis team. They have worked very hard to get where they are in their sport of tennis and say they have learned so much from it. It's why for the past year they wanted to share their love for the sport with others through a free clinic.
I grew up playing tennis with my dad whenever I was younger, and I thought, why not be able to teach tennis to other children?
It forms your character and it teaches you patience and endurance, and it showed me that not everything comes right when you want it, and you have to work hard over lots of months, and then you can get what you want.
Adriana says tennis can be perceived as an expensive sport, but she believes there are ways to play at a more affordable price.
I want to show people that tennis isn't all about the money, and it's accessible to all, and I think everyone should have the opportunity to play if they want. You can rent for very minimal money, and rackets you can get from hand-me-downs, and we just want to prove to people that you can play it no matter what. Same thing.
The clinic called Serves for Love is for children ages 5 years old to middle school, where they teach students the basics of the sport, how to hit ground strokes, how to hold a racket, and how to get the ball over the net.
This little girl, she was probably 4. She had to stand so close to the net, but she got it over for the first time, and she was just so excited, and it was just so great to be able to see them learning and being excited about what they're learning.
Their overall goal is to teach kids the values of tennis, but most importantly, help them make those lifelong relationships.
Just kids making friends, being happy, saying, I want to come to this clinic, not they're just parents putting them in it, but yeah, overall making friends and wanting to be there, wanting to learn.
you can check out the free clinic Serves for Love here at the Fit Tennis Center in Windcrest every other Sunday. I'm Sarah Costa, KSAT12 News.
Oh my gosh, she's really good.
Get it, Sarah.
Well, coming up in our next half hour, what is the U.S. doing in order to get more relief and aid to Ukraine?
Plus, what the city of San Antonio is going to start doing to make sure bars and restaurants keep their noise levels down. A San Antonio man will spend the rest of his life in prison for killing a Good Samaritan. Leopoldo Mora was convicted of shooting and killing Kenneth Salazar while he was helping a stranger fix his vehicle in June 2021 outside a Westside motel. A Bexar County jury only took about an hour Wednesday to convict Mora of murder. The same jury took 4 hours to decide Mora's prison sentence yesterday. Mora is 37 years old now, and he'll be eligible for parole in 30 years.
Well, the city of San Antonio will soon start paying bars and restaurants with outdoor venues money to keep the noise down. It's part of a $150,000 small business noise mitigation grant approved in the budget last year. There's a list of criteria a business has to meet, such as it must be a small business that's been open for more than a year. Those closest to homes will be considered, and the city's economic development office will open the application process at the end of the month. Up to $7,500 could be given to around 20 businesses that are accepted into the program. Now, the money would be used to hire a sound consultant and make renovations or buy equipment that will better noise mitigation.
They can purchase the acoustical paneling or curtains or better speakers that help them be that neighbor. We want to help them bridge the gap to be able to afford it.
And the city's development services has been working on the noise mitigation program for a couple of years. They are working with the Economic Development Office on this pilot program as well.
San Antonio police are looking for a man who they say shot his significant other in the middle of a parking lot. These are the apartments on Pleasanton Road near Gerald Avenue and South Cross. Officers say a witness heard the man and woman arguing, then heard gunshots. The woman was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound to the back. The suspect drove off. Police are still collecting evidence and statements.
Right now, a woman is facing a robbery charge after an incident at a beauty store on the city's southeast side. The woman you see here is 22-year-old Elise Jones. She's accused of taking items from Ella Beauty on Southeast Military Drive near I-37. Now, a police affidavit says she was able to get away while two other people caused a disturbance in the store. And when an employee followed her to the parking lot, Jones is accused of pepper spraying her in the face.
Now we go to Washington, D.C., where President Joe Biden is welcoming German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to the White House later today.
This comes as the U.S. is preparing to provide more aid to Ukraine. John Lorick reports.
The Biden administration has another round of military assistance for Ukraine.
It will include mostly ammunitions and munitions that the Ukrainians will need for the systems that they already have, like the HIMARS and the artillery.
This comes 1 week after the U.S. announced $2 billion in Ukraine security assistance funds, which earmarked money for equipment including multiple types of drones and mine-clearing equipment.
This is a fight for democracy. The world has stepped up in providing them weapons and training. We just need to make certain that we give them what they need as quickly as we can so they can hold off the aggression from Russia.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Thursday at the G20 in New Delhi. It was the first time the two met since the start of the war in Ukraine.
This was a rather brief encounter that the secretary took advantage of to convey clearly and directly messages that are important to the United States.
Among the messages Blinken had, calling on Russia to end its war with Ukraine.
President Zelensky has put forward a 10-point plan for a just and durable peace. The United States stand ready to support Ukraine through diplomacy to end the war on this basis. President Putin, however, has demonstrated zero interest in engaging, saying there's nothing to even talk about.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Taking a look outside through live cam, it's a beautiful day, San Antonio. It's 74 degrees. I say it's good enough of a day to wash our cars.
Yeah, hopefully there's not more rain in the forecast, right?
Not for at least a week, guys, or maybe 5 days at least. So we're going to see a pretty nice stretch coming up. The weekend is beautiful. We've got blue skies right now. We're going to see blue skies tomorrow, probably most of Sunday too. So any outdoor plans you have coming up next couple days look a-okay. There's the scene outside. It is so very nice. 71 degrees. Dew point is at 25 and falling thanks to northwesterly winds that are still a bit gusty. They're at 18, gusty a little bit higher than that, but the winds have calmed significantly from where they were last night. As we look across the state, 50s and 60s for the most part. You got to go down into deep South Texas before you find some 70s on the map. Quite a bit cooler than yesterday. Eagle Pass, by the way, hottest place in the country yesterday, 102. They won the award for the hottest spot. Not today. It's going to be about 25 degrees cooler there and about 25 degrees cooler for a lot of spots here in South Texas thanks to that front. Winds, as I said, still there, gusting to 30 miles per hour or so. These winds will continue to diminish as we head into tonight, and temperatures will make their way up to around 77 this afternoon. Guys.
All right, well, coming up, we're going to take a look at how much opioid prescriptions have dropped over the past few years and the reason why.
Plus, what one program at Somerset ISD is doing to help teach students different skills for the real world.
But first, Japan makes a big discovery. How many islands have they discovered and that they had no idea even existed?